The funeral hasn't even happened yet, and your brother asks if he can take Dad's truck. Your sister says Mom promised her the wedding ring. A cousin wants the antique grandfather clock. Meanwhile, the family home is sitting empty. 3 different people have keys. The garage door code is still active. The mail is piling up, and everyone is looking at you because you're the successor trustee. So what are you supposed to do? If you've recently become a successor trustee after the loss of a loved one, these are some of the first and most stressful questions that you'll face. Most trustees don't make costly mistakes because they're dishonest. They make them because they don't know what they don't know. They're trying to be helpful. They want to honor promises, avoid conflict, and keep the peace. Unfortunately, some of those well-intentioned decisions can create problems later for the trust, for the beneficiaries, and even for you personally. Hi, I'm Darlynn Morgan, a trust and estate attorney for nearly 30 years. In this video, we're going to walk through how to protect trust property during those critical first weeks after someone dies, so you can avoid some of the most common and costly mistakes. Your first job isn't distribution, it's protection. When people hear they've been named a successor trustee, they often think their job is to distribute the inheritance. That's understandable. After all, everyone wants to know who gets what. And usually, they also want to know when. But that's actually not your first responsibility. Your first responsibility is protecting the trust property. Think about it this way. You can't fairly distribute property if you don't yet have all the information. What exactly exists? Where is it? Or whether it's been properly preserved. So before anything is given away, before anything is sold, before anyone starts cleaning out the house, your job is to make sure that the trust assets remain secure and accounted for. That doesn't mean locking your family out. It means slowing the process down just enough to protect everyone involved. Because once property disappears, it's very difficult to reconstruct what happened, or to get it back if you have to. Securing the house. Let's start with the family home. One of the first questions that I always discuss with my trustee clients is whether they should change the locks. In many situations, changing the locks is a reasonable step, not because you distrust your family, but because you need to know who has access to the property. Think about how many spare keys might exist. Are there stepchildren, neighbors, housekeepers, caregivers? Even if every one of those people is completely trustworthy, you still have a responsibility to know who's entering and leaving the property. If the home will be vacant, you should also think about practical issues. Is the mail being collected? Are the utilities staying on? Is someone checking the property regularly? If there are firearms, or valuable collectibles, or important documents inside the home, those may require additional attention to ensure that they're secure. And before you begin moving things around, it's often wise to document the condition of the property. Photos and videos can create a clear record of what was present at the beginning of the administration process. Remember, changing the locks is about protecting the property and protecting yourself from future questions about what happened. Another question is, can someone move into the house or continue living there rent-free? Let's talk about that situation because it comes up all the time. Your brother might say, I'll just stay there for a while and keep an eye on the house. And on the surface, that sounds perfectly reasonable. After all, someone living there might discourage vandalism or help maintain the property. But before you agree, it's important to think through the bigger picture. If one beneficiary is living in the home, aren't they receiving a benefit that the other beneficiaries aren't? Will that affect future decisions about selling the property? Could it create disagreements about rent, maintenance, or expenses? And what about insurance coverage? You'll need to look into this and ensure that the home is properly covered. None of this means that the answer is always no, but it does mean that decisions deserve careful thought before they're made. As a trustee, your responsibility is to look into the future and consider, what if the worst happened? Your job is to protect the interests of all beneficiaries, all the way to the very end. And remember, the house belongs to the trust until it's properly sold or distributed according to the trust documents. Now, can beneficiaries take property before distribution? This may be the question that I hear more than any other. Dad always said I could have his truck. Mom promised me her ring. Grandpa wanted me to have his tools. Can you let people take those items? Well, the safest approach is to pause before anything leaves the property. First, you'll want to determine what property belongs to the trust. Then create an inventory. Some items may need to be appraised. Others may have sentimental value, and that's very different from their financial value. You'll need to read the trust and the will carefully. Sometimes these will specify that certain items go to a certain person, and you must follow that. Or the estate plan may just say that personal property gets distributed equally among all the beneficiaries. Now, equally means equally. And once distributions begin, keep good records of what was distributed, to whom, and when. Why is this so important? Because memories aren't always the same. One sibling remembers one conversation. Another remembers something completely different. The trustee's job is to administer the trust according to its terms while treating beneficiaries fairly. One of the easiest ways to create conflict is allowing property to leave the house before anyone has documented what was actually there. Don't forget the insurance. While everyone is focused on furniture and family heirlooms, one of the biggest risks often goes unnoticed: insurance. If the house will be vacant for an extended period, contact the insurance company or agent to make sure that the property has appropriate coverage. Some policies have limitations or special requirements when a home isn't occupied. The same goes for vehicles. Even if nobody is driving your father's truck or your mother's car, those vehicles still need to be properly insured until ownership is transferred or they're sold. This is important. The last thing you want is discovering that there's an insurance problem after a fire, a theft, or an accident. Next is clearing out the house the right way. Eventually, the time will come to clean out the house. And for many families, this is one of the hardest parts emotionally. Every drawer contains memories. Every photograph tells a story. Every piece of furniture reminds someone of the person that they've lost. It's tempting to start handing things out as people ask for them. But taking a little extra time at this stage often prevents misunderstandings later. Create an inventory and communicate with the beneficiaries. Follow the trust instructions. Document distributions. And remember, once an item leaves the house, it's very difficult to undo that decision. So slowing down isn't delaying the administration. Sometimes it's exactly what allows you to administer the trust fairly. The decisions that you make during those first few weeks sets the tone, and it can shape the entire trust administration process. Taking the time to secure the property, document what you have, communicate clearly, and avoid rushing distributions can save your family unnecessary conflict and help ensure that your loved one's wishes are carried out as intended. In our next video, we'll tackle another question almost every new trustee asks. What exactly are my duties now that I'm a trustee? Because understanding that answer may prevent one of the most common sources of conflict during trust administration.